Number 9. Sea Whip. Nothing mysterious about this pile of junk, right? Likely someone threw out some old wiring or fishing line. Maybe you're thinking about picking it up and sticking it in the trash. If you are, then hold it right there. This isn't discarded material, it's a living thing. What you're looking at is a piece of coral that washed up at Padre Island National Seashore on the South Texas coast in 2021. It's known as a sea whip for obvious reasons. The colorful appearance comes from living polyps that form in large numbers on the outside of the coral's dark skeleton. You can also find sea whips in red, white, and purple. Believe it or not, this elongated life form also has a mouth and no less than 8 tentacles. Amazing, right? As you can imagine, some of these sea whips might wind up in the trash. Folks participating in beach cleanups could easily mistake these colorful bundles of coral for tangled wires, cords, or other debris. If those who did that, albeit accidentally, had paid closer attention, they might have realized this was part of the marine ecosystem. So what do you do if you stumble across one at the beach? Nothing, apparently. According to those in the know, you can simply leave them where they are, much the same as you would with seaweed, kelp, and other natural detritus that washes ashore. The thinking is that sea whips that wind up on the beach probably do so because they passed away. Their remains then break down and become part of the sand dunes, so just let nature take its course. The pictures in Texas were taken to show people the beauty of the sea whips, which is all too easily missed when they're regarded as something man-made and out of place. Number 8. Reza Baluchi. We've heard of keeping inside your bubble during a pandemic, but this is ridiculous. Reza Baluchi was a man on a mission, and a fairly odd mission at that. His aim was to climb inside something that looked like a human-sized hamster wheel, and then spin it across the water, propelled by his legs. And Baluchi wasn't doing things by half measures. He wanted to take a 1,000-mile run from the Florida coast to New York. Did he literally have the sea legs to make the journey? Sadly, no he didn't. The tide took him far from where he wanted, and he instead washed ashore roughly 30 miles south of his original starting point in St. Augustine, Florida. Not that we mean to be too disparaging, after all, he was doing it to raise money for charity. It's just a shame things didn't work out on this occasion. According to reports, Baluchi has been rescued twice from his running wheel after reality collided rather abruptly with his fundraising dreams. In his 2 previous rescues, he was washed ashore again in St. Augustine in 2014 and Jupiter, Florida, which is near Palm Beach 2 years later. None of these incidents have deterred him, however, and he plans to continue these attempts. Number 7. Sea Camel. The town of Scituate in Plymouth County, Massachusetts, had what looked like a sea serpent in their backyard in 1970. Great excitement came when a truly weird-looking corpse washed up for all to see. Some compared it to looking like some kind of sea camel. The whole deal was like a scene out of Jaws, parts of which were famously filmed on the state's coastline. Had this mysterious creature come to eat the population and died before it got the chance to tuck in? Or was there a more rational explanation? You know it's going to be the latter. When experts rocked up to investigate, they found the 30-foot-long, 4-ton fish so substantial that they only took part of it away to study. A decision was made to remove the monster's head with a big crowd watching. This is sounding less like Jaws and more Game of Thrones now. When you find out the so-called sea serpent was nicknamed Cecil, it kind of takes the edge off though. What did Cecil turn out to be? Apparently, the remains of a basking shark that had somehow expired and been nibbled at by peckish passersby of the marine world. By the time it reached the shore, it had been chewed beyond recognition. The sea is a cruel mistress, and it turns out, a hungry one. Number 6. Lego. Not every weird thing you find washed up on the beach is scary or smelly. Some of this stuff is quite, well, fun and educational. For example, how about a seemingly endless supply of Lego that's been spotted on the coast of Cornwall, England? How did it get there? Well, a container ship bound for the Big Apple was cruising near the area of Land's End when it ran into troubled waters. A couple of major tilts later, and a serious amount of cargo had slid off the decks and into the sea. Amongst the casualties were almost 5 million Lego pieces. Yep, you heard that right, 5 million. What happens when LEGO enters the title system in such large numbers? It starts washing up in strange places. Not that we're saying Cornwall is strange, it's just you'd expect to find this sort of thing in a toy shop, not arriving on land with seaweed and jellyfish. The other totally crazy detail is that this is an ongoing thing. 2 decades have gone by with locals waking up to find the latest Lego-shaped haul on their doorstep. Reports have pointed out the irony that some of the Lego is shaped like flippers. Is someone playing a brick on us? Sorry, trick. Forget microplastics, these little colored pieces are seriously inconvenient for Mother Nature. Imagine being out for a barefoot walk in the sand and treading on one. Ouch. And you know what? This isn't the only Lego-based site people have been mystified by. In 2012, a Lego man was retrieved from the water. However, this was no tiddler but an absolute whopper, 8 feet in height. Photo ops revealed the plastic dude was buried up to his ankles in sand. Guess he functions a little like lifeguard, or maybe the seagull equivalent of a scarecrow. Number 5. Decapitated body. Another man-sized and mysterious thing that washed ashore seems a little more serious. A stretch of beach turned into a crime scene in 2020 when a woman in Florida noticed a horrific and grisly sight. Check out this horrible barnacle-encrusted body. You can't identify the remains because they don't have a head. How awful. How upsetting. Wait a minute. Is that body striking a pose? We didn't know corpses could be fashionable, but in this case, it looks like there's an exception. You see, this isn't a human body at all, but a mannequin. While we often hear awful stories of folks mistaking actual remains for a mannequin only to be shocked and appalled at the truth of their discovery, this case turned out to be a more fortunate reversal of the theme. Sympathy has been offered to the person who found it. It was pretty gruesome looking stuff, even if it turned out to be made of plastic. That didn't stop the images being posted online for everyone to gawk at, of course. Another discovery that made people want to pick up the receiver and phone home, or at least local authorities, was this life-size replica of E.T. the Extraterrestrial. The little alien was picked up in 2012 on the coast of Portsmouth, England, following a traumatic theft from its owner and sculptor. Have you ever come across anything unusual washed up on the shores of beaches, rivers, or lakes near you? Tell us all about your discovery in the comments below, and don't forget to like this video as well if you're enjoying it. Number 4. Guacas Gold. Times are tough for most people, especially in small communities that rely on outside resources to run their economy. The town of Guaca in Venezuela is one such place. As reported in 2020, a shortage of gas led to their water-based economy running into serious problems. Fortunately, a solution arrived in the most unexpected form: gold. To the locals' surprise, they began finding the precious metal washing up on their shoreline. The gold took various shapes, from medallions to ornaments. Silver was also involved in the haul. Where did it come from? They didn't know. It just washed from the Caribbean Sea. This extraordinary development has led to a much-needed boost for Guaca's coffers. The story sounds like something from a fairy tale. Of course, all good things come to an end. The gold ran out, but not after a few hundred items were recovered from the surf. It's a true mystery, but at least the townfolk had a happy ending of sorts, before life returned to normality. What do you think was behind the mysterious treasure washing ashore just where it was most needed? Tell us in the comments. Number 3. Blue dragons. These are pretty little creatures that may look friendly, but they pack a powerful punch. Known as Guacas marginatus, they've also earned the nickname of blue dragons. Why are they blue? You're actually looking at their underside, which acts as a handy disguise in the waters in which they're found. This is a nudibranch. What a name, right? Nudibranchs are connected to mollusks in the animal kingdom. Blue dragons reach a length of 0.51 inches and have been seen in both the Atlantic and Indian Oceans. Also, the Pacific Ocean, though in this story they made a surprise appearance. Winds blasted the little guys to a location called Northern Beaches in Sydney, Australia. There they washed up, giving passers-by a glimpse of an exotic life form usually found way out in the depths of the ocean. Don't get too close, however, because they apparently deliver a sting to rival that of a jellyfish. Not what you'd expect from something so beautiful. What makes it even weirder is that the blue dragon extracts its poison from stuff it eats. So really, you don't quite know what's going into your system there, theoretically. All you wanted was a nice day out on the beach, and now you're hopping around like nobody's business. Nature sure can pull the rug out from under you at times, huh? Number 2. MV Plassey. The Plassey is a wrecked motor vessel, hence the abbreviation MV, found on the Aran Islands off Ireland's west coast. It achieved fame after it washed up on the shore, thanks to being included in the opening titles of surreal British sitcom Father Ted, though it actually has quite an interesting story of its own in real life. This was a cargo ship that got into trouble back in the 1960s. Trying to survive in stormy conditions, it was pushed onto Fittes Rock on the Isle of Inisheer. Thankfully, the crew made it out alive, with the locals rushing in to help. Unfortunately, the Plassey never made it back into the water and has been permanently beached. As you can see, it's a little on the rusty side, but that's bound to happen in the craft's exposed position. This is a ship that should be looked at. Prior to being used as a cargo vessel, it was named Juliet and dates back to the time of the Second World War. Not only did she become a minesweeper, but also featured in the invasion of French North Africa by Allied forces, a mission called Operation Torch. The new name of Plassey came when the boat was bought by an Irish firm and relates to both Baron Plassey and his namesake battle in Plassey, India in 1757. So what looks like a rusty old boat is in fact so much more. Definitely gives you something to think about. The sea can wash up all kinds of fascinating stuff. Number 1. Fishy business. Speaking of fascinating, or should that be just plain what? Yes, you're looking at a fish that got stuck inside a jellyfish. This isn't an art installation, it actually happened in nature. The strange sight was caught on camera, courtesy of a snapper, as in a human photographer, not the fish, at Byron Bay in the land down under in 2016. Crazy, huh? But how exactly did something freaky like this come about? Well, it appears the inside fish, known as a juvenile trevally, actively swam inside the jellyfish. Sounds like a suicide mission, but this is in fact a wise move for the little fella. You see, he was probably trying to take shelter in the stingers and evade predators. Really? So it would seem. The trevally is able to do that with particular types of jellyfish. Unconventional for sure, but most effective. Not even a killer shark would want to stick its nose up there, right? Only this example appears to have been a bit overconfident and got stuck inside the body of the jellyfish, a cubomedusan. What do you do if you're trapped inside a transparent jellyfish? Start swimming, of course. Incredibly, the jellyfish had a bit of trouble with its unexpected tenant. A bizarre tug-of-war developed whereby the fish wanted to go one way and the jellyfish the other. This situation wouldn't look out of place in Finding Nemo. We know what you're thinking. This took place underwater rather than being something that washed up on the beach. Well, you're right, but we reckon this would make the mother of all finds if it did get washed up. Can you imagine the commotion if you saw a jellyfish only to then glimpse the eyes of another fish inside that squishy body? It made us chuckle anyhow. And who knows, maybe someday something like that will happen. The Byron Bay image went viral through the diver's photography. Who knows how big it would be if the same image was captured on the beach. Thanks for watching. Are there any other mysterious things washed ashore you think we left out? Let us know in the comments, be sure to like and subscribe, and we'll see you again soon.